what's your latest developments? Where are you trying to keep your boys all hopping around?
Well, hopefully. Dick Moore and I are going to work again this afternoon at
where do you work?
Pardon?
Where do you work? I was saying.
Over. Well, we'll work over in my office. It's pretty quiet around here today.
Anytime that you and we need to do it, because Camp David Place is very conducive to that kind of thoughtful work that you need to do.
I think that might be a good thing. I mentioned that to Mitchell yesterday, that we probably need a good sit-down, kick this thing around session. I would say that as a result of your press conference, that forward momentum that was going and building stopped. And it's punctuated. And again, we're in this breathing space. The press this morning is different. For example, it says an accord has been reached. His Post is even willing to say that as far as the information being provided. They couldn't, they tried to find something nasty to say, but they realized that it was a cooperative effort. What you have to do is be in a good posture come the opening gun on Irvin's hearings. It's always been, to me, the most troublesome thing is that if he were going to be non-biased, if he were going to be non-partisan, if he were going to be fair and just and the judge he likes to believe he is, 90% of his hearings would be held in executive session.
Sure.
Rather than...
And also the 10% that was held publicly would be double session.
That's right. That's right. What I've been trying to conceive of is some way that Irvin himself could come to that position. That he would be harming innocent people, that he will be dragging people into things that just by merely dragging them in. But that's the name of the game in the city, and he's going to love to play it.
You'd be interested to know that in the hardback in his case. We did that in his case.
You went into executive?
Yeah, well, the first confrontation between we interviewed, we took after Chambers went on in public session, challenge, Gibbs went on and denied it. Then after that, I had an executive session with Chambers alone for a couple of hours. Ray Tillman goes, I had an executive session with Gibbs alone. Then had the two together in New York in a hotel room.
That was private also.
Executive. And then only after the executive did we go public.
Well, that would be the fair way for Irvin to play it. And when he's ready to go public,
well, anyway, that's a possibility. The thing I guess you got to figure is whether you and Moore, perhaps even individually or collectively, I think that collectively in the writing paper, say that could sit down and write what I would call a very general statement that maybe I just hand her. I'd say, Senator, you guys know what the hell we got here. Here's my point. That's one way. The other way would be to put it out. Of course, the fact is, the point that I make is this: we don't want to be in the position of being the White House with being acting as the President's counsel as withholding information on the basis that it's confidential. We might just say, now I can't say this is all, but everything, that's everything we know. We can say, basically, this is being handled right after the secondary judge sentences, based on what we expected. The investigation has been made. It's not involved. Murphy was, this is all he knows. Jacob, this is what he knows, and I go into Jacob's spreading and just lay it all out there with Jacob. And goes, you know what I mean? And or without going into that, you can say, oh, the White House status and all and so forth. So I'm just making that, those kind of vertical statements even. What I'm getting at is that the moment that you get too specific, then I realize that they're going to say, why did you withhold something?
take one step further. It might be a very interesting approach. If Irvin were to be called down here and given sworn statements that were given to you back after I prepared my report from Haldeman, Ehrlichman, Colson, Dean, everybody, they stated the degree of their knowledge. Now, what would be in there that would be embarrassing politically, and you might put Irvin on the spot, because I don't think he would want to embarrass for the sake of embarrassment alone, is that there was knowledge that there was an intelligence operation in place. But no knowledge that these people were going to do something criminal. And to the contrary, Mr. President, there was an effort by the White House to cut off anything that would be illegal.
Well, as a matter of fact, you can point out, even Nixon's self-serving statements all over that I had put, I had given instructions to that he was the best on the campaign committee. I did not see it at that point. There was to be no hacking. There was to be no violence. We expected ours to be. We had to get intelligence on it from the standpoint of security, et cetera, to be prepared. Put that whole thing out. Put out to the CD record of what we expected in San Diego, what we expected there, and therefore we were trying to gather much of intelligence, et cetera. You know what I mean? But point out that you could just say, here's the sworn statements I want to read to the people that I have gotten from them, and I, for the record, want further information, you ask for me.
Well, the interesting thing is, in the sequence of the way things occurred, and I don't know if anyone has ever taken you through this, but the last involvement, to my knowledge, of the White House was when I came back from a meeting.
You've been asking if I take you through the answer. I know nothing about it.
Yeah, right. Well,
I stayed miles away from it, so I didn't know even that there was much involved.
Well, there was a preliminary discussion of setting up an intelligence operation.
Yeah.
And the last phase of that was I came back from a meeting with Mitchell, Magruder, and Liddy, and after telling them that they couldn't discuss this in front of the Attorney General of the United States, came back and told Bob that if there's something like that going on, we've got to stay 2 miles away from it, 10 miles away from it, because it just is not right, and we can't have any part of it. Bob said, I agree, and we'll have no part of it. And that was where I thought it was turned off. And the next thing I heard, that was the break-in on June 17th, which was 6 months later.
You heard the discussion of that, but we didn't hear any discussion of public in the next meeting.
Yeah, I did. That's what distressed me quite a bit.
Oh, you did? Mm-hmm. Who raised Liddy?
That's right.
Liddy at that point said, we ought to do some buddies.
That's right. And Mitchell just sat there on his pipe and talked and said nothing. He didn't agree to it. And I, at the end of the meeting...
You don't need to say it in your statement with buddies. You could say that they were going to engage in intelligence operation. You said the main thing is that it must be totally legal within the laws and ethics and so forth. So you came back and about this to the campaign. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think you could make some self-serving content in the days, and all that.
The embarrassing point would be that the White House knew that there was an intelligence operation going. But we knew.
Everybody basically who knows Haldeman knows, right?
Right.
And of course, but you could be there and you justify it on the basis of that.
We knew it was to be legal.
Not only to be legal, but that it was totally necessary because of the violence, the demonstrations, the kind of activities that we knew were threatened against us in the convention and in our campaign and in all of our appearances. We had to have intelligence about what they were going to do, that we in turn issued instructions to them. No relevance. We find out what they're doing.
This is another point on not using the FBI for political purposes either. While we would collect normal demonstration intelligence, we needed specific intelligence as to were there concerted efforts by opposing political people to demonstrate, cause disruption, get these peaceniks whipped up into a frenzy and the like. And that's not the function of the Bureau.
You see, I should say, for example, the matter was discussed as to whether or not the Bureau should be
But
Secret Service watching, say that's their job.
That's their job for.
They're protecting my wife there.
But they weren't collecting the same type. They were the threats, and they weren't looking to see who was behind it or.
What I'm getting at is that you can put on a lot of self-serving affidavits. So the main thing is that the president has. Then you see it basically clears the president, frankly.
That's right. That's right. That's got to be done. That's right.
It's got to be done, and frankly, they've got to say, I did this, and this. Jay would have to file with you. Agreed.
That's right.
And he would say, I did this, but I have nothing to do with this.
Now, it seems to me that the way these would be handled publicly, or when I say publicly, out of external from the White House, that you might well just give these to Irvin directly and say, I want you to know what I know.
Right.
And I think that, innocent people here who have committed no crime, but to the contrary, have tried to operate in the most proper way, are going to be maligned. This is the truth.
And I want you to know this beforehand. I want you to know this is all we know, all I know. And this is the fact. And I hand it to him. And I said, I wouldn't have Baker long.
No, I would agree with that.
It's just a little shot across the body.
Right.
What do you think? Or maybe your dad thinks Baker got any further intelligence about his operation.
Nothing affirmative that is good at all.
Right.
My view on this is that he did talk to him yesterday, and he said yesterday, which is covered in the last page of this note, that he will say again on TV tomorrow and will say that his intention of setting aside tax hearings if the president wants him to. He's trying to lock you into the picture so that he isn't alone in putting aside tax reform for trade. And if that's where the thing hangs, that he says on that basis you do need to call for you, that someone else calling isn't going to do any good. Right. That the question of the surcharge he will not raise. He feels that was answered by what happened in Paris, and he's satisfied on that and will not push that anymore. He told London that. The scheduling of a bipartisan leadership meeting on trade, they feel now should wait till April 10th. When you get back, the mills will take this up on the 30th, and if we send it, it will not be up till the 30th.
30th of April.
Yeah. And so if we send it up on the 10th, that's time enough.
Or they don't want the bipartisan meeting. You see,
They'll take up trade right after the
Steve
speech.
has the bipartisan meeting on for the 27th.
Right.
That's out there.
They say I changed the 29th immediately. Yeah. For the other reason. His point now is you don't really need it because we don't need to send it up till the 10th. And it's better to wait to send it up until we need it.
What is money to say that it wasn't?
Just that
The revenue that is not crazy.
basically to say the only that you agree with him that the only reason he can interrupt his tax hearings for trade is if the trade relates to the current international crisis and all our international stuff. And you're assuring that it does, that we'll have it up to him in early April, so that if he suspends after the Easter recess, that will work out very well, which he has agreed with Flanagan to do.
Like I said, he's talking money.
Yes, sir. That's okay. And he says he will confirm that on TV tomorrow.
All right.
That is his position.
Would you try Congressman Wilbur Mills of Arkansas? Go ahead.
It might be an affront to Baker not to bring him in since he is and try to, get them both on the
You'll
same.
try to be spread around quickly. But I'm not going to have a council.
No. Oh, Lord, no, I would think. But, there's a lot of appeal to just bringing Sam Irvin alone in.
That's my point.
And a lot of appeal.
He is basically, he's going to be running. Big man, I can just call him down and say, I informed Baker that,
That's the way I think it'd be better.
look, the president wants, he's had it affidavits from everybody that are here, and he'll say, well, they have here, no. Have it written interrogatory, yes. He wants to go further. But suppose I want to come down with my counsel questions.
No. Written interrogatory. We've said these are honest, honorable men who are going under oath. They're swearing to me this is the extent of their knowledge.
And they will, but on the other hand, we're not saying that if they have additional questions that come out as a result of this, that you won't answer written interrogatories, right? Well,
I think that just to be very disarming also for Irvin to break, he came down here and had a little conversation with you.
It's better than him. David's a little whippersnapper, and he'll try to make his point. I've seen David.
I'll tell you, for example, something that came back was fed back through the Attorney General, and the Attorney General wanted to talk to you about this. I don't know if it's necessary or not. Baker said that raised with Kleindienst in their private meeting after he met with both Irvin and Baker. He said, I want to talk to you about this 68 bugging incident, which the President mentioned to me when I met with him. This is Baker speaking to Kleindienst. And Kleindienst said, well, he said, I want to talk to you about that also, because Kleindienst obviously knows that Deloach is involved. Kleindienst and Deloach are good friends.
Well, I don't know whether we've had to buy a ticket or pull or not. Probably he wants George to testify on the way he was recess on the 19th. He'd like George to testify on taxes on the 30th. Taxes? That's no problem. George is supposed to be ready, and I just sit down that damn thing out there. So George, then he says he will then set aside, he will announce on the 19th that because the President has indicated that the trade is so urgent, he will set aside the tax hearing after George testifies. He gets that out there. And the following day, Tuesday, he will have the trade legislation brought before we meet. And I suggested that he would like to have a bipartisan meeting. He suggested that it be in the afternoon of Monday, which might not be a bad idea, rather than Tuesday morning, because, they have to go back into the testimony. So we could do that, or I told him he can have it at 8 o'clock in the morning. In other words, have it at 8 o'clock in the morning.
He must wait clear to the 30th, though?
Always the 30th, yeah.
Because already it was said by first meeting, we sent the legislation up on the 10th.
10th of what?
April. That's fine.
But he's moving it to the 1st. He wants the bipartisan meeting when the legislation goes up, so he's asking for legislation, so the boys are going to have to be ready on the 1st. I told him that's what we could do.
The 1st of April?
1st of May.
Yeah. Well, we were going to send the legislation up the 10th of April, so that he would have it for 3 weeks before, 2 weeks before he, actually 3 weeks before he started considering. I'll get back and let them on 10 to 11.
Well, that's Flanagan, just say that I had mentioned this day as the 1st of May, and it may be that we want the, that's when you see it. Okay. If we're off a little later, it ought to be.
No, April 30th is what we were shooting on for
what?
For him to start his hearings, that's what he had said.
Well, then he wants the bipartisan meeting then. That's fine.
So that's easier for him to start.
He can do a little more time. Right. But George has to be prepared to pay his tax proposal on the 30th. Okay. So what we really will need is, we all have a bipartisan, we won't have a bipartisan meeting on the 10th. Just won't do it. Okay, that's the deal. All right.
The long and short of what I was going to say there is I think that Kleindienst would like to turn Baker off a little bit on looking into the 68 thing, and Baker wants to get some more facts on it. So it's kind of a hiatus right there, and I don't know as Baker will go forward unless Kleindienst assures him they have something to produce, and I don't know if Kleindienst has anything to produce.
He won't produce if he has. The question is now, what about Sullivan? You got anything further?
Sullivan is committed to have me, or have prepared for me in his own typewritten product, his list of all the horribles that he has been able to recollect.
I want that for historical purposes.
I think so.
You need it very much. I want to know. Now, you were saying, too, where this thing leads. I mean, in terms of the vulnerabilities and so forth. In your view, that the vulnerabilities are basically Mitchell, Colson, Haldeman, indirectly, possibly directly. And, of course, at the second levels, as far as the White House is concerned, Chapin. Right.
And I'd say he would agree.
Why?
Well, because I've been all over this thing like a blanket.
I know, but you know all about it, but you were in it after the deed was done.
That's correct. I have no foreknowledge of it.
Here's the whole point. My point is, your problem is not, I don't give you any problem. All the others could have participated in the goddamn thing, and therefore are potentially subject to criminal liability. You're not. That's the difference.
That's right.
Now, that score, of course, we have to know where we are.
And
everybody, I mean, Gruder, as I understand, knows that some people would call him and knows, and he tells other people that Colson knows, depending on what he's talking to.
well, Jeb is a good man, but if Jeb ever sees himself sinking, he will reach out to grab everybody he can get hold of. Yes. And I think the unfortunate thing in this whole thing is Jeb is the most responsible man for the whole incident. Well, let me tell you, after it happened, on Monday, it didn't take me very long to put the pieces together what had occurred. I got a hold of Liddy, and I said, Gordon, I want to know who in the White House is involved in this. And he said, Don, nobody was involved or had knowledge that I know of that we were going in for the light. He said, with one exception, and it's a lower level person, Strong. He said, I don't really know how much he knew. And I said, well, why in the hell did this happen? And he said, Magruder pushed me without mercy to go in there. Magruder said, I had to go in there. We had to do this. That's where Jeb is.
Did Colson push Magruder?
No, that's where there's two stories.
That's my point. I think Colson can push, but he didn't know Magruder that well.
No.
And had very naturally confidence in his move. So maybe that must have come from here, from that point.
They
call him and push him.
Well, I think what happened is that on the sort of the tip.
I can't believe all of it push Magruder.
No, I don't think it happened.
I don't think we took medication. Maybe Chapin did.
No, I think Strawn did. Because Strawn just had it on his tickler. We're supposed to be gathering and talking to Jeff and saying, where is it? Why isn't it coming in? You haven't produced it.
What were they worried about? They were worried about it because I had been to San Diego demonstrations. I didn't give a shit about it. But I guess everybody around here except me worried about it.
Well, I don't know.
San Diego demonstrations. What else?
I think
Mitchell, I understood, was thought that they might be worried about the secret. I mean, the $10 million.
I cannot understand why they decided to go into the DNC. It absolutely mystifies me as to what anybody who's not been around a national committee knows that there's nothing there.
We all know that. The point is, we're trying to see what these all these areas are involved in terms of the big.
So that's
and how they even now Magruder puts the heat on somebody else. Now, the point is, the way you see things, as I understand it, is that possibly you're unraveling that Sloan starts fizzing on Magruder, and Magruder starts fizzing on who, even Haldeman.
No, it's to start saying, or say, all right, Jeff, you're going to take the heat on this one.
Somebody on here should say that.
No,
Can't do that.
no.
I think what you've got to do, to the extent you can, John, is to cut it off at the pass. And you cut it off at the pass, and Liddy and this bunch just did this as part of their job.
They were out on alert. They went beyond any assignment they ever had.
Now, on the Segretti thing, I think you just got to be shaving it all, you just got to take the, but you got to admit the facts, Don. And I think it's hired, and that's that, and Combach paid it. Paid a lot of people. I just think on Segretti, no matter how bad it is, it's an early expense people think it was. Espionage, sabotage.
The intent when Segretti was hired was nothing evil, nothing vicious, nothing bad, nothing, not espionage, not sabotage. It was pranksterism that got out of hand, and we don't know that. And I think we can lay our story out there. I have no problem with the Segretti thing. It's just not that serious. The other potential problem is Ehrlichman's, and that is connection with Hunt and Liddy both.
They work for you.
These fellows had to be some idiots, as we've learned after the fact. They went out and went into Dr. Ellsberg's doctor's office, and they were geared up with all this CIA equipment, cameras and the like. They turned the stuff back in to the CIA at some point in time and left film in the camera. The CIA has not put this together, and they don't know what it all means right now, but it wouldn't take a very sharp investigator very long, because you've got pictures in the CIA's files that they had to turn over to dozens. They were trying to, this was a part of an operation that connected with Pentagon Papers. They were, the whole thing, and they wanted to get Ellsberg's psychiatric records for some reason. I don't know. That's right.
Jesus Christ.
Well, anyway, it was under an Ehrlichman structure. Maybe John didn't ever know. I've never asked him if he knew. I didn't want him to.
I can't see that getting into this area.
Well, look, here's the way it can come up.
Yeah.
In the CIA's files, which the committee's asking for, and the material they turned over to the Department of Justice, there are all the materials relating to Hunt. In there are these pictures which the CIA developed. And they've got Gordon Liddy standing proud of punch outside this doctor's office with his name on it. And this is material, it's not going to take very long for an investigator to go back and say, well, why would somebody be at this doctor's office? And they'd find out that there was a break-in at that doctor's office. And then you find Liddy on the staff, and then you start working it back. I don't think they'll ever reach that point. This was irrelevant. It's irrelevant, right?
That's the point. That's where Irvin's rules of relevancy got. What the hell has this got to do with it?
It has nothing. There's a lot of these things that they could stumble along into as a result of.
And of course, Olson apparently was working with ITT, that silly woman out there. I went out disguised as a doctor or something.
He had some red wig on and funny glasses and went out and interviewed her. But that's nothing, there's nothing there. He didn't do anything illegal there. And the other thing that could come up that will relate to John, and could relate to me also, it's not illegal. In fact, it's kind of interesting if it ever occurred. Right after Chappaquiddick, John had a man dispatched up there, this New York City detective, who went 2 years he was on this thing, and he knows more about how Teddy Kennedy lied his way through that and closed that down than any living human being.
So we were checking.
And he was paid by Combach. Combach's bank records indicate these payments.
If they find those records.
If they find those records.
He doesn't know those records.
Well, hopefully we
some of those would be
privileged. Because, well, he's an attorney. Why would he have
clients? Their records.
That's right.
Well,